2016. The man running the biggest enterprise blockchain project on Earth makes a promise. You'll never see a Hyperledger coin. No token, no ICO, nothing to buy, ever. Fast forward to this summer. Swift is piloting its new shared ledger with 17 banks on that project's code. The BIS just settled real money on it. Roughly 1 in 10 Ethereum mainnet nodes is running it, and the code underneath Hedera, same family. So how does a foundation with no coin end up underneath everything that matters? This is Hyperledger 101. Real quick before we dive in, this channel has a Discord, the Motion Room, and the channel you want is early access. New videos land there before they go public. There's a request board too. You ask, I build. That's how half these videos get made. And the newsletter, 1 email every Friday, every number traced to a primary source. Links below. Come make it yours. We grow, learn, and build on these frontier technologies together. So, December 17th, 2015. The Linux Foundation, the people who steward Linux itself, announce a blockchain project. And look at the founding cast. IBM, Intel, JP Morgan, Swift, DTCC, Wells Fargo, the London Stock Exchange. That is not a crypto crowd. That's the back office of the global financial system. IBM threw in tens of thousands of lines of code. That donation grew into Fabric. But here's my favorite detail. The name itself was Mergers and Acquisitions. A little San Francisco startup called Hyper had built a bank-friendly ledger with no cryptocurrency, and Digital Asset, run by Blythe Masters, the famous ex-JP Morgan executive, bought the company that summer. When the foundation launched, Digital Asset donated the trademark. So the word Hyperledger was corporate property before it was ever community code. Masters became the first board chair, and in May 2016, they hired Brian Behlendorf, one of the original creators of the Apache web server, as executive director. That's when the doctrine got set. In his words, you'll never see a Hyperledger coin, because by not pushing a currency, they avoid, quote, so many political challenges of having to maintain a globally consistent currency. And did the banks all live happily ever after? Not exactly. By late 2017, Reuters got hold of board slides titled Member Attrition. More than 15 members cut funding or walked. Behlendorf's response? This is normal and expected. And he was right. Foundations get poured in boring times. So what actually lives inside this thing today? 18 projects, 7 graduated, 10 incubating, plus trust over IP. And they are genuinely different flavors, so let me give you the tour. Fabric is the enterprise workhorse, and it made one radical design choice. It runs transactions backwards. Ethereum orders transactions first, then executes them. Fabric executes first, then orders. Execute first, order later. That inversion lets peers chew through transactions in parallel instead of single file. It also has channels. Think blockchains inside the blockchain, a private mini-ledger for any subset of members. Version 3 brought Byzantine fault-tolerant ordering, and IBM Research previews a next generation, Fabric X, benchmarked past 400,000 transactions per second. Then there's Besu, and this one's sneaky important. 1 Java code base, 2 completely different lives. The same client runs the public Ethereum mainnet and permissioned bank chains. 1 client, both worlds. Indy and Anoncreds handle decentralized identity. Anoncreds is, by the Foundation's own claim, the most used verifiable credential format in the world. Firefly is the middleware stack. Cacti is the bridge layer. Iroha is the C++ veteran. And then there's Hiero. In September 2024, Hedera did something no major public network had done. It donated its entire code base, Hashgraph consensus included, to the Foundation. 42 repositories, about 500 authors, the blockchain that donated itself. Now for the part other explainers skip, because a decade of enterprise blockchain left bodies. There is literally a GitHub organization called Hyperledger-Archives, 88 repositories, frozen. Sawtooth, Intel's chain, archived. Ursa, Grid, Burrow, Composer, archived. Of the 2019 lineup, only Fabric, Besu, Indy, and Iroha are still top-level projects. And the famous deployments? TradeLens, the IBM and Maersk shipping ledger. Maersk shut it down in 2022, saying it never, quote, reached the level of commercial viability. We.trade, the European bank consortium, liquidated. The Walmart lettuce story from IBM Food Trust everyone loved on stage? Go to IBM's Food Trust page today and it redirects to a generic product catalog. IBM, once the loudest voice in the room, no longer markets a dedicated blockchain product page at all. And Brazil? This one matters. The central bank ran DREX, its digital currency pilot, on Besu for 2 phases, then switched that network off in November 2025. Phase 3's technology is still to be defined. A lot of channels will still tell you DREX runs on Besu. It doesn't. So is this a story about failure? Look, this is what a living open source foundation does. It prunes. Apache buried plenty of projects too, and nobody calls Apache dead. Because while those repos froze, the roster refilled. Hiero, Lineth, Paladin, Panurus, and the new tenants are a different caliber entirely. Because here's where 2026 gets wild. Swift, the network carrying the world's bank messages, is building its blockchain answer. And in Swift's own words from March, the Ledger MVP is being built on open source foundations using an EVM-compatible architecture based on Hyperledger Besu. By July 9th, it was ready for use, with 17 banks from 6 continents preparing to pilot: Citi, HSBC, UBS, BNY, MUFG, tokenized deposits around the clock. Concept to activation in about 9 months. Then there's Project Agora at the Bank for International Settlements, the central bank of central banks. Their own technical report says every participant runs nodes on Hyperledger Besu with QBFT consensus, and the privacy layer is Paladin, another project from the same foundation. The flagship of official sector tokenization runs foundation tech at 2 layers. And this July, they finished real value testing. 28 institutions, 17 scenarios, roughly 800,000 Swiss francs of actual money settled, 8 central banks, over 40 financial institutions. Australia went further. Under Project Acacia, AP Plus used Hiero, the Hedera codebase, to bridge stablecoins with the Reserve Bank's wholesale pilot money across a public network and a private one running the same code. Independent research put the potential upside for Australia at up to $24 billion a year. And my favorite detail, Banque de France engineers are listed among the 39 contributors to Panurus, the new tokenization framework. Central banks aren't just piloting this software anymore, they're writing it. Now pull up the member wall and read the names. Ethereum Foundation, Consensus, Polygon, Matter Labs, Layer 0, Horizon, and one shelf down, an entire row of central banks: Brazil, England, France, Korea. And the premier tier? DTCC, Hedera, and Linea. The organization founded to keep cryptocurrency at arm's length is now where public chain teams park their core infrastructure. Besu secures roughly 1 in 10 Ethereum mainnet nodes, per Ethernode's data pulled this week. And in May, the Linea Consortium became a premier member and donated the entire Linea stack, renamed Lineth, The first major layer two to put its core technology under neutral, open governance. Their board member put it perfectly. Infrastructure this foundational should belong to everyone who builds on it. So what about AI? Let me give it to you honestly, because it's specific. They are not building models. They're solving the boring, critical question underneath the agent economy. How does an AI agent prove who it is and who it works for? Trust over IP and the Decentralized Identity Foundation stood up 3 working groups on exactly this, and by March, they were demoing proof of personhood for humans and proof of control for AI agents. Credentials and agent shows to prove a real principle stands behind it. The executive director, Daniela Barbosa, frames it in one line. The question is no longer if we need digital trust frameworks, but how quickly we can deliver them. Even Web3j, their Java library, now ships its docs in an agent-readable format. Identity, not intelligence. That's the lane. So, 10 years in, the promise held. There was never a Hyperledger coin. It just stopped mattering. Because the rails without a token now carry the experiments that count. Swift's ledger, the BIS's Agora, Australia's bridge, and the healthy slice of public Ethereum. Here's your action item. Every one of those 18 projects is open source and free. The same Besu client the BIS runs Agora nodes on is a download away. Pick one project this week and just read its docs. You'll understand this industry better than most people talking about it. The rails never needed the coins. Turns out, the coins needed the rails. If this earned it, subscribe. One deep dive every week. The Motion Room Discord gets videos early, and the Friday newsletter gets the receipts. So, which project should we put under the microscope next? Drop it on the request board.